Calderon 3 hung on the edge of charted space like a forgotten ember in the dark. A small, peaceful colony, just over 50,000 souls, humble settlers and scientists seeking to tame a wild, beautiful world. They built glass cities under twin suns, grew gardens in biodomes, and mapped the stars from their observatories. No one expected an empire to care, but the Virulon Dominion cared deeply. From their colossal command station, orbiting the gleaming gas giant, Virulo's admiral, Kylus stared at the cold data stream. Reports scrolled across translucent display signals, picked up from Calderon 3's orbit. Unusual energy readings, consistent with weaponized tech, the analyst reported. Potential rebel activity. Kylus smirked, voice low and venomous. Primitive species playing with fire. This colony is a threat we cannot ignore. Behind him, holograms, flickered military blueprints, fleet deployments, orbital bombardment schedules. The Dominion's decision was swift. The planet would be purged far below. Unaware of their doom, the humans carried on. Children laughed in sunlight gardens. Scientists monitored atmospheric data. Engineers adjusted solar arrays. Then, the sky cracked. The first strike was sudden. Orbital cannons unleashed searing beams, tearing through cities like paper. Alarms screamed as glass shattered, metal bent, and life was incinerated in seconds. The world's twin suns dimmed behind thickening plumes of black smoke in the command bunker. Governor Lena Marek gripped the console, voice trembling. This is an unprovoked attack. We are not hostile. Repeat, we are a civilian colony. Static. Her pleas went unanswered as the bombardment intensified in the final moments. Lena activated the colony's distress beacon, sending a piercing cry through the void. This is Calderon 3 colony. We are under attack by the virulent Dominion. Innocent lives are being destroyed. To anyone receiving this, remember us. We are not your enemy. The message cut out mid-sentence as the last observatory fell silent. On Earth, thousands of light-years away, the beacon crackled into the United Terran Directorate's command center. Screens lit up with grainy images of Calderon's burning cities, of children running through flame-lit streets, of mothers screaming as their homes crumbled. The room fell into a stunned silence. Director Helena Reyes stood motionless, her sharp eyes tracing the horrors across the holographic displays. Around her, military officers and politicians exchanged grim looks. The official response should have been calm diplomatic protests, measured statements, attempts at peace, but the raw truth was impossible to ignore. They had murdered innocents. They had crossed the line. Helena's voice finally broke through the quiet, low and resolute. We will not forget. Back in the dying shadows of Calderon 3's orbit, the last transmission came from a single survivor, a young engineer named Yelon. Tross, his voice was ragged, broken by static and fear. They think they've won, but they don't know who we are. They don't know what we carry inside us. We will rise from these ashes. One mistake, that's all it took. His message echoed across space, an ominous vow, unanswered but unmistakable. On the virulent command station, Admiral Kylus toasted to victory, surrounded by smug officers. Humanity will learn its place, he declared. This is only the beginning of their lesson. But deep beneath the surface of Earth's sprawling cities, in hidden vaults and underground bunkers, something else was awakening. In a secure chamber, cold and sterile, an old man's eyes snapped open. He was the last of Project Revenants, original commanders, a war hero buried in cryosleep for decades, presumed lost. Now, summoned by the colony's destruction. He rose again. General Marcus Hale's voice was gravelly but firm. They thought peace meant weakness. They will learn the price of that mistake. Around him, scientists activated dormant AI cores, unveiled long-hidden arsenals, and readied humanity's secret weapons. The war had not been declared, but humanity was already preparing its reply. The galaxy watched silently as Calderon 3 turned to ash. The Dominion believed their message was clear, an unspoken threat to all who dared defy them. They did not know what they had done, because humanity's wrath was not born in war, it was forged in loss. And loss was a fire that never died. Asterisk, the United Terran Directorate's war room was a cathedral of muted steel and glowing holoscreens, humming softly with the weight of 1,000 decisions. Leaders, generals, scientists, and diplomats, humanity's finest minds, stood together under the cold lights, watching the final images of Calderon 3 flicker on the central display. Silence stretched like a taut wire before Director Helena. Reyes finally spoke, her voice calm but carrying a chill that silenced all murmurs. We have lost a colony. 9,000 lives snuffed out in moments. This is not an accident. It is a message. Her words rippled through the room like a shockwave. Are we prepared to answer? Asked General Marcus Hale, stepping forward from the shadows. His voice was deep, seasoned by decades of conflict and command. His eyes, sharp and unreadable, settled on Helena. She nodded. We have no choice. In a secure underground bunker, far beneath the surface of Earth's sprawling capital, Project Revenant was awakening. For decades, this initiative had remained classified, an insurance policy whispered about only in the darkest recesses of military archives. Born from humanity's cold calculations during the old Earth conflicts, it was designed for a single purpose: survival through total war. Cryo chambers hissed open, releasing their occupants from frozen slumber. Men and women, once heroes and warriors, now reanimated by the urgent call of vengeance. General Marcus Hale was among them, his aged face regaining color as life surged back into his limbs. He surveyed the room filled with the most lethal minds and bodies humanity could muster: genetically enhanced super soldiers, AI strategists, cybernetic specialists, ready to lead Earth's response. We are not the same people who fled into the stars seeking peace, Hale said, his voice gravelly but fierce. We are the storm waiting to break. Meanwhile, across the globe, scientific teams raced to activate long-dormant war technologies. Deep space research stations hummed with energy as AI cores once designed for cold calculations of destruction now churned with ruthless purpose. On the tactical decks of orbital platforms, engineers uploaded viruses designed to cripple enemy vessels, and weapon systems long thought obsolete were refitted with cutting-edge innovations: relativistic projectiles, electromagnetic pulse cannons, and stealth drones capable of erasing entire battle groups. The message was clear: Earth would respond, and the response would be total. In the halls of political power, diplomatic channels buzzed with frantic communication. Earth sent urgent warnings to neighboring star systems, pleading for allies or at least neutrality. Some listened, most did. Not. In the grand halls of the Galactic Council, many saw humanity's reaction as rash, dangerous, and a threat to fragile peace. But back on Earth, the question wasn't could they retaliate, but should they stop? The answer was unanimous: no. As Project Revenant's forces prepared, Helena Reyes and Marcus Hale met in the Directorate's command center, the tension between them palpable. Are we truly ready to go to war? Helena asked quietly. This will change everything. Hale's gaze was unflinching. It already has. They destroyed our people. We're beyond peace talks now. This is survival. Helena nodded. Then let it begin. Across the stars. The first message from Earth was not a demand or a threat trit, was a simple declaration broadcast on every known frequency. We remember Calderon 3. We remember every innocent life lost. This is our vow. The mistake you made will be your undoing. Back on the Dominion's command station, Admiral Kylus received the transmission. He scoffed, dismissing it as empty threats. Empty words from a dying species. He sneered to his officers. Let them rage. Their fury is meaningless. But even as he spoke, Dominion analysts pored over intercepted signals, encrypted, layered, and precise traces of Project Revenant's mobilization for the first time. The Dominion saw the outline of a force they had underestimated, a humanity forged by loss, tempered by patience, and armed with the cold efficiency of revenge. On the fringes of known space, hidden fleets began to stir. AI-driven drones, silent and deadly, slipped through sensor nets. Tactical units moved with preternatural precision. Super soldiers trained relentlessly, preparing for a war many believed impossible. Earth was no longer the victim. It was the hunter. Meanwhile, deep in an abandoned Calderon 3 research facility, Yalan Tross, the colony's last known survivor, worked feverishly. Scarred and haunted, he pieced together data from the wreckage. His voice, recorded and sent in fragments, became a rallying cry across Terran networks. We were peaceful until they made us monsters. We carry the fire now, the fire of vengeance, and it will burn them all. The galaxy, once indifferent to humanity, began to take notice. Whispers spread. The humans awaken, and with them a storm was coming, one that no star system could outrun. Darkness blanketed the outer reaches of virulent space, where the stars glittered cold and distant. A squadron of human stealth vessels drifted silently, cloaked in the void's shadows, their hulls coated in adaptive camo that bent light and sensor signals alike. Commander Celine Arden scanned her displays with practiced calm, voice steady but fierce. Target acquired, Dominion outpost, Valaris Prime, minimal defenses. Initiate Phase 1. Her strike team, a blend of enhanced soldiers, AI tacticians, and cyber operatives, sat taut in their seats, nerves sharpened by years of preparation and bitter anticipation. They were humanity's edge, the first blade drawn in a war that would tear the stars apart. Valaris Prime was a vital relay station on the Dominion's frontier, but the humans cared little for its strategic value. This attack was a message, swift, precise, and unforgiving, as their drones slipped through the atmosphere, infiltrating shield arrays and defense networks. Celine's team moved like ghosts through the station's corridors. No alarms blared, only the quiet hum of machines shutting down one by one. An explosion ripped through the communication tower, severing Valaris's link to Dominion Command. Back on Earth, the Directorate watched live feeds of the strike. Helena Rhea's eyes burned with grim satisfaction. This is not retaliation. It's reckoning, she said softly. Inside Valaris Prime, Dominion officers scrambled to understand the assault. Captain Razek, a young officer with a sharp mind but little battlefield experience, barked orders as human forces dismantled their systems, activate emergency protocols, send distress signals. He shouted, but the station's systems were already compromised. AI viruses wormed through firewalls, turning Dominion drones against their own crews. Security doors sealed off. Escape routes. Panic began to spread. Rozek's eyes widened as his soldiers fell one by one, not to overwhelming force, but to traps and cunning tactics designed to break morale and sow chaos. Amid the turmoil, a captured Dominion technician was dragged before Celine. Her voice was cold steel. "Tell us, Captain Razek, how long before your empire falls?" The technician spat but said nothing. Celine leaned closer. "We don't fight with overwhelming firepower. We fight with precision, patience, and a promise to never stop." Across Virilon space, the shockwaves from Valeris Prime's destruction reverberated. The Dominion was shaken. Their analysts pored over data, desperate to understand how a species they considered primitive could strike so deeply, so effectively. Whispers of a ghost army spread human forces, invisible, relentless, and lethal beyond imagination. Elsewhere, a young Dominion officer named Kalen watched the news feeds with growing dread. He was one of the few who questioned the Dominion's arrogance and the wisdom of provoking humanity in private. He sent encrypted messages to Dominion High Command, warning of humanity's hidden capabilities and urging caution. His warnings were met with cold silence and suspicion. Kellen's fears were soon realized. A secret tribunal branded him a traitor. He was arrested and sentenced to death, but before his execution, Kalen performed a final act of defiance. He leaked classified information to Terran intelligence blueprints of Dominion fleet movements and weaknesses. Back on Earth, the leaked data transformed Project Revenant's strategy. With every Dominion secret uncovered, humanity's strikes became deadlier, more surgical. The war was no longer just about retaliation. It was about dismantling an empire from within. Meanwhile, the Dominion's Supreme Council convened in crisis. Admiral Kylis, once confident and dismissive, now sat grim-faced as he faced his peers. "Our underestimation has cost us dearly," he admitted. "Humanity is unlike anything we expected. Their patience is terrifying." A senior counselor snapped back. "We must crush them before they gather strength. No mercy, no negotiation." Kylis nodded, agreed. "We unleash the full might of the Dominion. This ends now." But even as the Dominion prepared their counterstrike, humanity's forces adapted faster than anyone could predict. AI warcores infiltrated Dominion command grids, corrupting fleet orders and creating chaos among enemy ranks. Relativistic kill. Vehicles projectiles, traveling near light. Speed pierced through shields and hulls before Dominion crews could react, and human soldiers, enhanced and unyielding, struck from shadows, vanishing before reinforcements could arrive. In a remote asteroid field, Selena's strike team prepared for their next mission. The exhilaration was tempered by the knowledge that this was just the beginning. Her voice was calm but unwavering. "We are not fighting for victory. We are fighting so they never forget, so they never dare repeat their mistake." Her eyes scanned the blackness beyond the viewport. Somewhere out there, the Dominion was watching, and humanity was coming. Back on Earth, Helena Reyes and General Hale stood side by side, watching the progress of the war unfold. Hale's voice was low but filled with cold. "Resolve. They believe this is a rebellion to be crushed. They don't realize we are an extinction event." Helena nodded. "And we've only just begun." The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council on Verelos gleamed with cold elegancer. towering structure of crystal and steel, suspended in orbit over the gas giant below. It was a place where empires met to speak of peace, war, and everything in between. Today, it hosted a summit that would decide the fate of the galaxy. Delegates from the Virulent Dominion, the Terran Directorate, and dozens of allied systems gathered. Beneath vaulted ceilings that shimmered with holographic constellations. Cameras recorded every word, every gesture, broadcasting across the stars. At the center of the room stood Director Helena Reyes, her calm demeanor a stark contrast to the tension crackling in the air. Across from her, the Dominion's Supreme. Commander Kailas wore a mask of icy resolve, but his eyes betrayed the turmoil beneath. The talks began with formalities, pleasantries, thin as ice, promises thin as paper. But beneath the surface, every word was a calculated move in a deadly game. "We propose a cessation of hostilities," Helena said, voice steady, "and a negotiation of boundaries to prevent further bloodshed." Kailas's gaze hardened. "Your attacks are an act of war. We demand an unconditional surrender." The room rippled with murmurs. Helena responded, "Surrender is not on the table. What happened to Calderon III was a crime against innocent life. Your empire will answer for it." Behind the scenes, security officers monitored covert transmissions. Both sides had brought spies, ready to exploit any sign of weakness. Unbeknownst to the delegates, Earth's command center had authorized a secret operation timed precisely with the summit at the stroke of the third hour. A massive electromagnetic pulse detonated in Virel, space shattering their communication networks, crippling their sensors, and plunging their command station into chaos. The lights flickered. Screens went dark. Panic spread through Dominion ranks like wildfire. Simultaneously, a fleet of stealth vessels, Earth's Ghost ships, launched a daring boarding operation on the Dominion flagship. The Varello's Ascendant, Celine Arden's team, infiltrated the massive warship, slipping through corridors as Dominion forces scrambled to regain control. Their prize, the Dominion's archives of war crimes, secret orders, and plans for conquest, broadcast across every Dominion channel, was a live feed, undeniable proof of the massacre on Calderon III, of the Dominion's lies and ruthlessness. The galaxy watched in stunned silence as victims' faces, survivors' testimonies, and the brutal truth spilled out before billions. In the summit hall, Kailas's expression twisted from confidence to fury. "You will pay for this," he spat. Helena's voice was cold steel. "This is not a war of your choosing. It is the consequence of your crimes." As Dominion communications scrambled to recover, the summit shattered into chaos. Dominion delegates shouted accusations. Allies braced for the inevitable descent into violence. But Helena raised a hand, calling for order. "This summit was never about peace," she declared. "It was about truth, and the truth has set us free." Outside the council chambers, agents moved swiftly. Diplomatic envoys were recalled. Security tightened. The Dominion's grip on power was slipping. Back in Earth's command center, General Hale watched the fallout with grim satisfaction. "Their empire's foundations are cracking," he said. "We have turned their arrogance into their downfall." But even as the Dominion faltered, dark clouds gathered in the depths of Virelon space. Hidden from all eyes, a shadowy figure activated an ancient device, the Rift Generator. Its purpose was terrifying: to tear open space-time itself, a weapon of last resort capable of annihilating entire fleets and worlds. On Earth, analysts detected strange fluctuations in space. The war had taken a new, dangerous turn. Helena turned to Hale. We face more than just an empire. We face the collapse of reality itself. Hale's jaw tightened. Then we fight on the edge of existence. The galaxy held its breath. Humanity's wrath had become unstoppably, and now the very fabric of space was at stake. The rift generator hummed deep within the cavernous belly of a forgotten Virilon moonbase, its surfaces covered in layers of dust and decades of neglect. But beneath the silence, the ancient device pulsed with dark energy, warping space-time, in waves invisible to the naked eye. Commander Celine Arden stood on the observation deck of her stealth frigate, the Ghostfire, her jaw clenched tight. The readings from their sensors were chilling ripples in the fabric of reality spreading outward, distorting star charts, scrambling communications, and disrupting navigation. This isn't just a weapon, Celine said grimly. It's a weaponized fracture in space itself. Back on Earth, Director Helea Reyes and General Marcus Hale convened with their top scientists in the war room. Watching the unstable readings projected as fractal patterns on massive HOLA- screens, Dr. Amina Chowdhury, lead physicist on the project, explained in a hushed voice, the rift generator tears at the very fabric of space-time, creating pockets where reality can collapse. If fully activated, it could obliterate entire fleets or planets, not just through force, but by unraveling their existence. Helena's expression hardened. We must shut it down before it's too late. Celine's mission was clear: infiltrate the moon base, locate the rift generator's core, and disable it. The crew of the Ghostfire knew the risks. The Dominion's forces would defend the base fiercely, and the unstable rift field made even their advanced technology unreliable. Once inside, expect minimal support, Hale warned overcomes. We're counting on your team's precision and resolve. Celine nodded. Understood, we're ready. The Ghostfire slipped silently through the moon's shadow, sensors masking their approach. As they neared the base, ripples in space distorted their scanners, causing flickers and gaps in the data. Sensor integrity dropping, reported LT Malik, Selena's chief engineer. We're entering the rift's edge. Selena's eyes narrowed. Steady. This is where it gets dangerous. Inside the sprawling moonbase, Dominion troops hurried to reinforce defenses. Admiral Kylus, his face etched with desperation, barked orders. We cannot let them reach the core. Activate the rift generator's secondary defenses. Do whatever it takes. Elite shock troops armed with experimental weaponry poured into the corridors, ready to confront any intruders. Celine's team landed near the base's perimeter, slipping through shadowed tunnels and bypassing security systems, scrambled by the rift's interference. The corridors twisted and shifted oddly, as if the moon itself warped under the machine's influence. Keep close, Celine whispered. The rift is messing with our comms and sensors. We have to rely on instincts. Suddenly, alarms blared. They had been detected. A brutal firefight erupted in the narrow halls. The enhanced soldiers fought with precision, using smart tactics to outmaneuver the Dominion shock troops. Celine moved like a ghost, coordinating attacks, hacking security doors, and guiding her team deeper into the heart of the base. Meanwhile, in the moon base's core chamber, the rift generator loomed an enormous lattice of glowing conduits, pulsing with unstable energy. The machine's hum was almost hypnotic, resonating with the very fabric of space around it. Celine's voice crackled over the comms. We're approaching the core. Prepare for heavy resistance. The Dominion's last line of defense was relentless. But Celine's team fought with a fury born of vengeance. Each step closer to the core was a step closer to saving the galaxy or dooming it. As they reached the core control console, Celine and her tech specialist, Rin, worked quickly to bypass complex encryption and override the generators. Power matrix, but the rift's energy surged unpredictably, threatening to collapse the entire facility. Rin, hurry, we don't have much time, Celine urged. Sweat dripped down Rin's brow as she manipulated the controls. We're nearly there, just a few more seconds. Outside, Dominion reinforcements surged into the chamber, led by a ruthless commander named Vesha. Stop them. Vesha growled, firing with deadly precision. The firefight intensified. Celine's team was pinned, outnumbered, but their resolve never wavered. With a final keystroke, Rin shut down the rift generator's core, sending a pulse through the base that stabilized the warping space around them. The machine's ominous hum faded into silence, but victory was bittersweet. The base began to collapse as the rift's unstable energy destabilized the moon's crust. Celine ordered retreat. We need to move now. The team raced through twisting corridors, dodging falling debris and surging energy discharges. Behind them, the rift generators shut down triggered a chain reaction, fracturing the moon's core. Outside, the ghost fire waited in orbit, engines primed for a desperate escape. As the team emerged from the collapsing tunnels, Selene saw the moon's surface cracking and splitting apart beneath them. Get aboard. Go, go, go. The ghost fire shot upward just as the moon fractured into a cascade of burning debris. In the aftermath, space stilled again. Selena's voice was steady but tired. Rift generator is offline. For now, back on Earth, Helena and Hale allowed themselves a brief moment of relief, but the war was far from over. The Dominion's desperation would only grow, and so would humanity's wrath. *= The aftermath of the rift generator's destruction rippled through the galaxy like a shockwave. Across star systems, news spread fast. Humanity had struck deep, disrupting the Dominion's most devastating weapon. Yet, the war was far from over. In the dimly lit chambers of the Galactic Council, tension simmered. The shattered summit had left trust broken and old alliances frayed. While some star systems cautiously backed the Terran Directorate, others recoiled from what they called humanity's reckless vengeance. Councillor Yalara, a stern diplomat from the Neutral Worlds Coalition, addressed the Assembly with a voice heavy with concern. We face a new threat not only from the Dominion, but from the fury of humanity itself. We must consider all options before this spiral of vengeance consumes us all. Her words hung in the air, met by murmurs of agreement and dissent. Meanwhile, back on Earth, Director Helena Reyes stood in the heart of the Directorate's command center. The room buzzed with urgency. Holodisplays, painting war maps and intel feeds across every wall. General Marcus Hale entered briskly, his face grim. The Dominion is regrouping faster than we anticipated. We intercepted communications about a new coalition forming among fringe systems, joining their military might to crush us. Helena's eyes sharpened. We need to act before they consolidate. As humanity prepared for its next move, a shadow war unfolded behind closed doors, deep within the Terran Directorate's intelligence network. An encrypted transmission crackled to life. The sender, an unknown entity claiming access to Dominion secrets and offering a chance for peace, but at a price. Helena studied the message carefully. It promised inside information on Dominion fleet movements, strategic vulnerabilities, and a potential truce if humanity agreed to halt its aggressive campaigns. Suspicion rippled through the command room. General Hale's jaw tightened. This reeks of a trap. Helena nodded, torn between caution and the desperate need to gain any advantage. We'll verify everything, but we can't afford to ignore it. Elsewhere, in the Dominion's hidden war chambers, Admiral Kylus seethed with fury. The loss of the rift generator was a crushing blow, but the coalition forming against them was an existential threat. Deploy the Shadow Corps, he ordered coldly. They will strike where we are weakest. They will silence any who aid humanity's cause. The Shadow Corps, an elite unit of covert operatives, were known for their ruthless efficiency and near-mythical reputation. Their arrival signaled a new phase of the conflict, one of sabotage, espionage, and silent death in the war-torn city of Volta on the fringe world of Neres. Terran intelligence agent Myra Kale crouched in the shadows, watching a Dominion convoy pass below. Her mission was clear: intercept and extract Dominion officers, carrying vital data on the Coalition's next moves. The city was a maze of crumbling buildings, neon signs flickering amid smoke and ash. Danger lurked around every corner, but Myra had no choice. As the convoy slowed near a market square, Myra sprang into action. Using a blend of stealth and precise strikes, she incapacitated the guards and seized the data pod. But the alarm was raised. Dominion reinforcements poured into the streets, and a fierce chase erupted through the narrow alleys. Myra's heart pounded as she darted through the maze, the weight of the stolen intel heavy in her pack. She contacted headquarters, package secured, extraction point compromised, requesting immediate backup. Static hissed in response. Hold position. Help en route. Back on Earth, Helena and Hale awaited news, the stakes higher than ever. The war is shifting, Hale said quietly. No longer just battles in space, but wars fought in shadows and mines. Helena's gaze hardened. Then we fight on every front. As Myra's team finally reached safety, the stolen data revealed something chilling. A Dominion planned to deploy bioweapons designed to target Terran genetics specifically, potentially wiping out humanity's enhanced soldiers and civilians alike. The revelation sent shockwaves through the Directorate. Helena stood before a war council, voice resolute. This changes everything. If the Dominion uses these weapons, it won't be a war, it will be genocide. Hale nodded. We prepare our people for the worst, and we take the fight directly to them. Far from the council chambers, the Dominion prepared to unleash its shadow campaign. The galaxy braced for what was to come, a war no longer fought with honor, but in the murkiest depths of fear and survival. The galaxy had plunged into shadow warfare. Sabotage, assassination, and whispers of bioweapons seeped through star systems like toxic mists. Humanity's enemies were ruthless, and so was humanity's wrath. Commander Celine Arden stood on the deck of the Ghostfire, watching the silent stars streak by as they raced toward the Dominion's newly established forward base on Varkanine. This installation was the heart of the Dominion's bioweapons program. Destroying it could cripple the enemy's deadliest edge. Her squad was battle-hardened but exhausted. Every mission had drained them physically and emotionally, yet none had broken their resolve. Intel confirmed. Celine reported to General Marcus Hale over secure comms. The bioweapons facility is heavily guarded but vulnerable during shift changes. We move in 20. Hale's voice was steady but urgent. Success here could save millions. Failure is not an option. Celine nodded. Understood. On Varkanine's barren surface, the Dominion base loomed like a fortress, dark towers, rising against a blood-red sky, its walls bristling with automated turrets and drone swarms. Selena's team descended in stealth pods, their landing silent. As shadows merging with the crimson dusk inside, corridors hummed with cold efficiency. Scientists and soldiers alike worked under the watchful eyes of Dominion officers. Selena's squad moved swiftly, disabling security systems and neutralizing patrols with silent precision. The tension was suffocating. The slightest misstep could trigger alarms and doom the mission. In the laboratory complex, rows of containment chambers held the bioweapons' microscopic horrors, engineered to infect and eradicate the human genome selectively. Rin, the team's cyber specialist, set to work hacking the facility's mainframe to upload a virus that would corrupt and destroy the bioweapons data and production capabilities. Almost there, she whispered, fingers dancing across her console. Just a few more seconds. Suddenly, alarms blared an ambush. Dominion shock troops swarmed the complex. Gunfire erupted in a cacophony of deadly precision. Celine barked orders, rallying her team into defensive formations. We hold this. Position, Rin. Protect that console. The fight was brutal, the team outnumbered but relentless. Amidst the chaos, Celine caught sight of Vesha, the Dominion commander, who had once tried to stop them at the rift generator. His eyes burned with fury. You won't destroy our legacy, he shouted, charging with a plasma blade. Their blades clashed, sparks flying as they battled fiercely, each strike carrying the weight of their hatred and history. Rin's virus finished, uploading just as Celine forced Vesha back, giving her a moment to glance at the screen's containment chambers flashing, bioweapon systems shutting down one by one. A deep explosion rocked the base of the virus, triggering chain reactions throughout. The facility, Celine's team, fought their way back to the extraction point amid collapsing corridors and erupting fires. Dominion reinforcements closed in fast. Move, move, Celine urged. They barely reached the pods before the facility imploded in a catastrophic fireball, a beacon of humanity's wrath burning bright against the night sky. Back on the Ghostfire, the team caught their breath, wounded but alive. Selena's voice was fierce, tinged with exhaustion. This war isn't just about survival anymore. It's about justice, and we will not stop until the Dominion falls. But the victory was bittersweet in the Dominion's shattered command. Admiral Kylus seethed in rage and despair. They destroyed our weapon, he growled, but they have not seen the last of us. A dark smile crept over his lips. Prepare the final gambit. Back on Earth, Helena Reyes watched the news feeds. The faces of the survivors and victims etched into her mind. She turned to General Hale. We've ignited a firestorm. Now, we must control Itor. It will consume us all. Hale nodded. Then, we stand ready. For whatever comes, the galaxy waited on the edge of chaos, with humanity's wrath unleashed and the Dominion's shadows closing in. The darkness above Varkanine had barely cleared when the Dominion's final gambit began. Admiral Kylus stood on the bridge of the Varello's Ascendant II, his eyes burning with cold fury. The loss of the rift generator and the bioweapons facility had been crippling, but now he had one last desperate weaponer, secret flagship, armed with an experimental weapon designed to annihilate entire fleets in one devastating blast. This ends now, he said, voice echoing with grim resolve. We will raise their heart and all who stand with them. Across the void, Earth's command center buzzed with frantic activity. Helena Reyes and General Marcus Hale watched holographic displays showing the Dominion's fleet gathering massive warships converging on Earth's outer defense perimeter. "We can't let that weapon reach Earth," Helena said sharply. "If it fires, millions will die instantly." Hale's jaw clenched. "Prepare the fleet for a full-scale assault. We hold the line here or we lose everything." Commander Celine Arden prepared her team on the front lines. The Ghostfire and its escort vessels weaving through asteroid fields to intercept the Dominion advance. The air was thick with tension. Selena's voice crackled over the comms. "This is it, all or nothing. For humanity." The battle erupted like a storm. Lasers carved streaks of light through the darkness. Missiles screamed through voids, and colossal warships collided in thunderous explosions. Selena's squad fought fiercely, their tactics honed by countless battles. But the Dominion's flagship loomed ominously, its superweapon charged and ready in the chaos. Celine's team received word that a boarding party was preparing to infiltrate Earth's primary defense station, and attack meant to cripple their last line of protection. "Intercept them at all costs," Helena ordered. "We cannot lose that station." Celine led a daring counterstrike, dropping behind enemy lines to disrupt the boarding force. The fight was brutal close quarters, desperate and bloody. In the heart of the station, Celine confronted Vesh. Once more, their battle a brutal echo of past clashes. "You cannot stop what is coming," Vesha hissed, lunging. Celine blocked, then countered with a swift strike. "We don't stop, we fight." Meanwhile, in orbit, General Hale commanded the fleet's desperate gamble. A coordinated strike targeting the Dominion flagship's superweapon. Fighter squadrons swarmed, weaving through flak and plasma fire. Hale's voice was steady. "Now, focus all fire on the weapon's core." The flagship shuddered violently as precise hits tore through its shielding. The superweapon began to destabilize. Warning sirens blared, and the weapon's ominous glow flickered. Back on Earth, Helena watched the unfolding battle with bated breath. "This is humanity's moment," she whispered. Selena's team fought their way out of the defense station, evacuating as the boarding force collapsed. In space, the Dominion flagship gave one final, catastrophic pulse, its weapon exploding in a chain reaction that tore through the ship. Shards of wreckage scattered in a brilliant supernova of destruction. The Dominion fleet, leaderless and shattered, faltered. Humanity's forces pressed the advantage, pushing the enemy back across the stars as silence fell over the battlefield. Celine gazed at the distant wreckage. "We did it," she said softly, voice tinged with exhaustion and relief. Back on Earth, Helena stood before the Galactic Council, addressing representatives from across the galaxy. "The Dominion's reign of terror is over," she declared. "But this war has shown us that humanity's wrath is not born from hatred, is born from the desire to protect, to survive, and to ensure such darkness never returns." A new era dawned, one forged in the fires of vengeance, but tempered by hope. Humanity stood not just as survivors, but as guardians of a fragile peace. And though the scars of war would never fully fade, the galaxy had witnessed something unstoppable, the unyielding spirit of humanity unleashed.